Hey, thanks so much for your interest in the Authority Insider podcast. First, I want to tell you a little bit about why I think podcasts are so important. Now, in my mind, podcasts are almost like having personal mentors speaking into your ear every day. Now, I personally listen to podcasts while I'm driving, while I'm out running, while I'm exercising, and a lot of times while I'm here at my office just trying to get some work done, I'll have podcasts running in the background. Now, podcasting is my way of getting information from all sorts of mentors and great minds that have advice to give. It's like rapidly being able to read a book or pick people's brains. So it is another way of getting essentially personal mentors. Now, if you haven't added podcasts to your daily routine, if you haven't added podcasts to your life, I highly recommend it. It's probably been one of the biggest game changers for me in my business and in my personal advancement of what I understand about business and marketing. Podcasting has absolutely changed my life. Listening to podcasts daily has changed my life. And if you're not on the podcast train yet, if you're not listening to podcasts yet, start getting some of these personal mentors speaking directly to you. It's something that's just so phenomenal that you can't quite understand until you've kind of gotten in the habit of listening to a lot of podcasts. And, I hope that the Authority Insider podcast is one that you'll add to your rotation so you could essentially have me as one of your mentors speaking in your ear a few times a week, and my guests and my network and my connections speaking to your ear, giving you their advice as well. Now, I want to show you real quickly exactly how you can subscribe to it and start listening to the podcast right away. Okay, so if you're on a computer, the first thing you're going to want to do is click the button right below this video, which will take you to the podcast. Now, what you'll see when you click that button is a page that looks like the one on the screen. This is an Apple iTunes preview page. Now, over on the left, you'll see a little link that says View in iTunes. You're going to want to click on that link, and it will open iTunes to a page that looks like this. Now, if you come over here on the left, you can click this button that says subscribe, and that will subscribe you to the podcast. Go ahead and confirm that you want to subscribe by clicking subscribe again. And you are now essentially subscribed to the Authority Insider podcast. So the next step is you want to come up here to My Podcast in the top of iTunes, click this little link here, and you can see the Authority Insider podcast is listed on the left. So the next thing you want to do once you've got this podcast here is download some of the episodes. So look through the titles, look for the ones that intrigue you, and click on this little cloud link over on the right-hand side here to download those episodes. I highly recommend downloading all of them. Obviously, I'm a little biased in listening to them all, but you can pick and choose which episodes you want to listen to. Now, once they are downloaded, you simply double-click to start listening. All right, so the next step after that, if you enjoy the podcast, you really like it, I would really appreciate a positive review from you on iTunes. Now, to leave a review, simply jump back over to the iTunes store where we initially found this podcast. There's a little button here that says ratings and reviews. Click on ratings and reviews, and then click on the link that says write a review. It'll ask you to log in if you're not logged in already, and it will pop up this little write a review. So you can put your name here, give the review a title, write your review, and of course, I always appreciate the more stars, the better. Okay, so that is how you would access the podcast on your computer. Now, I'm going to quickly show you how to do it on your phone. Okay, so when you're on your phone, now if you have an iPhone, you should have an app called Podcast. You can see my little podcast icon here on the screen right now. Now, that is where you will find it. Now, you can access the podcast in one of two ways. Now, if you're watching this video on your phone right now, you can click the link below this video. Now, if you click the link right below this video, you click that button, it will automatically take you to my podcast inside of the iTunes store. It will look like what you see on the screen, and you can easily just click the button that says subscribe. Now, once you've clicked that button, you'll see that down in the lower left-hand corner, a little 1 popped up for 1 unplayed episodes. You can see that it's showing my latest episode, and now you have access to the podcast episodes. Just click on the one you want to listen to, and it will start playing. Now, if you're not actually watching this on your iPhone right now, you can open up this podcast app here, click on the podcast app, click on the little search icon down on the bottom right, and then just search up here for Authority Insider. Do a little search, and you can see right here that it was one of the first podcasts that popped up. Click on the podcast here, and click on the subscribe button that just popped up. All right, so that is how you can access the podcast, the Authority Insider podcast, on both your computer, or if you're on an iPhone, how you would access it on an iPhone. Now, I don't actually have an Android-based phone, but it's a very similar process on an Android-based phone. Essentially, if you click on the link right below this video, you should be taken to a place where you can access the actual podcast recordings and start listening. And again, I just want to remind you that listening to podcasts, I know so many people are resistant to it. So many people have really, really resisted the idea of listening to long form content in the form of podcasts. My take on it is I listen to it while I'm doing other stuff. I listen to it in the car. I listen to it while exercising. I listen to it while getting work done. I listen to it while doing household chores. I listen to podcasts when I'm doing other things. I don't ever sit down and just 100% focus on a podcast. I listen to it during other tasks. And it is essentially my way of having some of the world's top experts speaking into my ear and giving me advice and telling me different ideas that I can try in my business all the time. Okay, so if they obviously say you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, income wise and personality wise and all that kind of stuff, you tend to become the average of those 5 people. Now, if you start listening to podcasts, you're going to start to find yourself thinking and speaking and acting like a lot of the people that are in those podcasts. So I cannot recommend getting into podcasts enough and starting to listen to podcasts. This will be a game changer for you and your business and the speed at which you educate yourself on business. I promise that listening to podcasts is going to make a huge difference for you. Start with the Authority Insider podcast. You're absolutely going to love it. I put so much time and effort into getting the best people on here and getting the best out of those people. So you're absolutely going to love it, but also, dive into some other podcasts. There's so many amazing ones out there. And I can't wait for you to check out the Authority Insider podcast. So go subscribe to it today. Thanks for watching this little quick video, and I'll chat to you soon on the podcast. See you later.